Jitendra, when you look at this earnings report, what's the main thing that jumps out at you?
Well, like you said, at least on the top line numbers, the 66% growth in paid clicks shows the demand was very strong for the advertising business. But if you look at the expenses side, you mentioned CapEx, they're spending a lot on expanding AWS. A competitor, basically, they want to compete with AWS, so they're expanding their cloud services a lot, so expenses over there. And also you saw other bets basically saw a big jump in the losses that they reported. So there's some worry here in terms of like spending ramping, and on the call, hopefully they give us some offsets as to like what revenue offsets we can expect from this ramp up in spending. But as far as the top line numbers and the core search business is concerned, that's remains strong.
What kind of momentum does Alphabet have in its cloud business going up against AWS?
Yeah, so if you look at AWS's customer base and Google's customer base, it will be slightly different. Google is primarily geared towards like cloud native applications or cloud native companies, and so it has to put a tougher fight versus like somebody like Microsoft also has a legacy enterprise business they can tap into and get into the hybrid cloud model. So Google has a tougher sort of fight among the three, but given how fast the cloud market is growing and the room that there is for the three companies to play, they should be fine in terms of growth rate for the next couple of years.
What are you wanting to hear from Sundar Pichai, the CEO, and the CFO, Ruth Porat, Jitendra? Because is it all about explaining away that pressure being felt on margins, that pressure being felt on, well, the over-exuberant spending potentially?
Yeah, so basically three things. One is, if you look at the cash balances, $106 billion plus of cash on the books here. What are they going to do with it? Like any color on that? The second, you talked about the expenses. What is the revenue outcome of those expenses? Should we expect re-acceleration or acceleration in cloud growth going forward? And third is the Waymo business, that they're piloting. What are the expectations for the year? Like if the spending that's happening or is expected to happen in Waymo, what kind of revenue growth potential the company sees. So as soon as we hear offsets to this or return on investment to this CapEx spending, I think that would really help paint the picture.
Jitendra, do you have any worries at all about the regulatory issues overhanging not just Alphabet, but I guess all of these companies that rely on data mining?
It is going to be an overhang on all these companies for the foreseeable future. I mean, Facebook is more at risk, but with the fines that we saw, Google already paid. This is an ongoing sort of theme over here. But as far as antitrust issues are concerned, I mean, our antitrust analysts see the risks low for both the companies, but risks of fines and henceforth, that will be an ongoing issue for investors.
Jitendra, when you look at Alphabet's earnings, when you look at Facebook's earnings, the two companies that really dominate the online ad space, overall, is there just any concerns for this? I don't want to call it a duopoly. There are other players, but they're just so dominant. Are there any signs of concern at all for them?
Well, first of all, Amazon is really stepping up its game in advertising to sort of break or try to break this duopoly. We think they have a good shot at doing so longer term. But having said that, like I mentioned about the antitrust issues that you're bringing up, our antitrust analysts don't see the risks as high in the US. In Europe, the story might be different. The risks are higher over there. So this is going to be an ongoing concern.